we start with a quick recap of your fluid mechanics class. So you remember skin friction, or the skin drag and the pressure drag, these two terms? Have you heard of this this thing, the CD? We can write CD friction plus CD pressure. Do you recognize this equation or expression?
Sir,
or have you read this? Sorry?
We are unable to see the screen.
Oh, okay, sure. Sorry. Okay, now this thing you can see, right? Everybody can see this expression?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So does this expression rings a bell? Or say if I write skin friction and form of the skin drag and form drag. Have you heard these terms?
No, sir.
No? Okay. Are you sure? I mean,
So
like,
we know that skin coefficient factor that was tau by half rho u infinity.
that is fine. That is fine. But the point is, say, so drag force acts on which direction? Can you tell me? Can anyone tell me?
Opposite to velocity.
Say there is a moving car, okay, and from inside the moving car, you just say took your hand out, so you feel a force, right, on your arm, extended arm.
Yes, sir.
Right? Now the air is flowing in which direction?
Backward.
I mean, you'd feel the force that is exerted by air on your body. The direction would be in the direction of the flow of air.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that thing is called the drag force. Now, the point is, say, when we have, for example, a stationary fluid, we have a stationary fluid on a flat plate. So this fluid will also exert some force on the plate.
Yes.
Okay. Now that is the normal pressure. I mean, if we consider this direction, the vertical direction, as a normal direction, fine. Now, see, the point is, this thing, you know that any force will have its two directions. If we consider about two directionality of that force, so either it would be in the direction of the flow or the normal to the flow.
Yes, sir.
For example, the pressure, so the point is that the pressure typically it is the normal it happens on the normal direction versus normal force. Okay, so the point is the forces that are, or the drag forces, okay, that acts in the direction of the flow, we typically call those as the drag force. And the components that are basically in the direction normal to the flow, okay, we call those as lift force. So typically the skin friction, or say the wall shear and pressure, okay, contribute to this drag and lift. Now say there is a thin flat plate, okay, the example we have done in the last several classes, aligned to the parallel of a flow direction. In that case, drag force depends only on the wall shear, and it is independent of the pressure. But when the situation is this, that you have a blunt surface or a surface, now it is oriented in the normal direction to the flow. The flow is happening from this side. Now, instead of this plate being in parallel to the flow, now it is placed the normal to the flow direction. So what happened with the drag?
There is
Have you
normal
come across this?
normal force pressure.
Right. So have you come across this kind of phenomena in your fluid class? Have you seen this kind of thematic?
Yes, sir. In Fox and McDonald's, yes.
Right, right. But it was it not covered during the lecture or something like that? Because the point, this is the important point, is that now here you have a low pressure zone, and here on this side you have a very high pressure zone. So similar to that concept, here the wall shear stress will act. Okay, but the drag force principally, I mean, it's mostly dominated by the pressure only, and is independent of this wall shear. Because this wall shear in this case acts in the direction normal to the flow. So the point is the drag force, or say if I write FD, okay, it depends on the density of the fluid, the upstream velocity, the size, shape, orientation of the geometry or the body. Okay, on these several things, the value of this drag force depends. And this drag coefficient, we know that you are mentioning always, is something like this, where A is the area exposed to the flow. That is the area projected on a plane normal to the flow direction, for the case of this kind of plant body, which tends to block the flow. So if we say there is this, say we have a cylinder of diameter D, okay, and length L. And it is placed in the direction, normal direction to the flow like this. So what would be this value of A?
2R into L.
The area projected to the normal direction of the flow.
Yes, sir.
It is basically
DL.
LD, right? Okay. Now the point is this drag coefficient is a function of the shape of the body. It can depend on the Reynolds number and the surface roughness depending on the scenario. So the point is that means the drag force is essentially the combination of the forces that is exerted by a fluid on a body in the direction of the flow, okay, due to the combined effect of shear stress or the wall shear and the pressure force. Wall shear is the friction coefficient we determine, and the pressure force is the CD pressure. Okay. So the point is the friction drag is the component that comes from the wall shear force, which is in the direction of the flow. So that means it depends on the orientation of the body and the magnitude of this tau shear, wall shear stress. So friction drag is 0 for a surface normal to the flow, and it is maximum when a surface is parallel to the flow. Because in this case, this surface drag is basically the total shear force that acts on this surface. So that is why, so when there is a flat plate parallel to the flow, this CD is only the CD friction. The CD pressure is 0. Or say we can write as C friction. So when we know this value, particularly for any situation, we can calculate the CD pressure if the total drag force is also known. Fine. So the point is, now these drags essentially is combined during the heat transfer process when there is external flow. So these are the situations we call external flow. So when there is a say cylinder flow is happening over or past a cylinder, there is a spherical body, we have flow around that body. Okay, so this drag force also affects this heat transfer, and this effect is shown by the Nusselt number that we have seen earlier. Now, what we have seen in previous lectures is that Nusselt number, the local Nusselt number, was a function of non-dimensional distance from the leading edge, local Reynolds number X, and the Prandtl number. And to demark it from the average Nusselt number, the local Nusselt number, say we write nu x as the subscript. And we have also seen the overall Nusselt number then becomes a function of Reynolds number and Prandtl number. These are the two different functions. Now, we have also seen that based on this concept, the researchers have expressed Nusselt number in terms of this simple power law function where C is constant, M and N are the constant components, exponents. Now, we also know that in the boundary layer, from the surface temperature Ts to free stream temperature T infinity, the fluid, there is a temperature gradient, which means. Now that means the fluid property can also change. The fluid property at Ts, and if this temperature is significantly different, or even if it is not, for several fluids, with the slightest change in the temperature, the properties can vary. So when we apply such equation, now this Re or Prandtl number or the Reynolds number is associated with several fluid properties. For example, Reynolds number, we have density, viscosity. Prandtl number, we have viscosity, thermal conductivity. So these properties may change with temperature between Ts and T infinity in this range. So which property would you take during the calculation? The solution is that, the solution is that average, the arithmetic average of these two temperatures. That is the surface and the free stream temperature arithmetic average is called the film temperature. Film temperature. So fluid properties are assumed to be constant around this fluid temperature, and it remains constant during the entire flow. Or the alternate way is that the relation that we have here, or what we'll have here, okay, in this case, so this relation can be corrected by multiplying, we say Prandtl number by at the surface by Prandtl number at the free stream to the power R, some correction parameters. Or to be precisely, since this actually varies, we are concerned about this mostly, the viscosity. These correction factors are basically multiplied here. Okay, so the Nusselt number relations are then usually corrected by these correction factors, where these are this R is basically some empirically fitted parameter. Now, when we have the local drag, or say the convection coefficient, which means CD and H, we have seen its relation, the analogy, its correction. And if we integrate these CD and the H values, the local values, we basically get the values for the entire surface of the average body parameters. Okay, so the relations are basically, this is just a recap. So this is this CD, basically we can write 1 by L, 0 to L, CD x dx. H is basically 1 by L 0 to L hx dx. So the local convection coefficient integrated over the entire surface, you get the average values. So once the average values are known, the rate of heat transfer from or to this surface can be calculated based on this parameter. So for any calculation in this convection, the strategy is simple. The strategy is that this we are particularly here dealing with the external flow, but the methodology remains similar, is that we try to see that what is the local Nusselt number relation. We try to adopt good one or a reasonable one depending on the several assumptions that we have seen earlier. These relations are developed. The fluid properties we calculate at the arithmetic average, or say this is this average temperature is called the film temperature, and the H is then the local H is then calculated. Once we find the local H, we integrate it over the entire surface to have the your average heat transfer coefficient, and then this average heat transfer coefficient we use it in the Newton's law of cooling, and we find what is the heat transfer rate to or from that surface. Okay, so the point here is that now we can have several situations of this external flow. To start with, say we have a surface which is, say, we have a surface here of length L. A part of it, okay, say part of it is unheated. A part of it is unheated, and the heating starts in the the surface is heated in the rest of its portion. Or instead of, say, the isothermal, we typically have considered this surface is isothermal of constant temperature. The other scenario can be, say, the temperature can vary, but the heat flask is same, or say the heat flask remain constant over the entire surface. Or the situations can be that there is cylinder instead of now a flat plate. So several for these conditions, we actually have different Nusselt number relation, and this is what you have to remember in a few places, that what are the relation, because those will be used for the calculation of the local heat transfer coefficient. And then if necessary, you have to integrate it for the average value, or sometimes, in fact, most of the times, the average Nusselt number value is also given, or you can deduce that from the local Nusselt number value, because if you integrate it over the entire surface, you basically get the average Nusselt number. Okay, so now the point is, let me quickly write few expressions that we have seen but these expressions you have to remember, okay? Because these expressions are pretty much useful, or in fact will be there during any of your tests, starting from the GATE or any competitive examination. So the summary is that, say for if you have a laminar flow, what is the hydrodynamic boundary layer? Can someone prompt me? Flow over a flat plate. What is the relation that we have seen?
That was 4.64.
Hydrodynamic boundary layer for this
4.64 under root of 4.64 x into Reynolds number to the power minus half.
to the power minus to the power half, basically. Okay, Reynolds number to the power minus, yeah. So, or that thing is typically, sometimes you would see that it is 4 point something that is written there. Reynolds number, that is again also a local Reynolds number, remember. Okay, and friction coefficient would be 664 Reynolds number to the power half. Now here REX is basically less than 5 into 10 to the power 5, because this is the critical Reynolds number for the flow over a flat plate. In case of turbulent flow, we have the same parameters. The value would be 0.382x divided by Reynolds number to the power 1 by 5. Similarly, Fx would be 0.0592 divided by Reynolds number to the power 1/5, where in this case the Reynolds number range is basically 10 to the power 7 and starts from 10 to the power 5. Where, as usual, the x is the distance from the leading edge. Okay, so here that means we can see that this friction coefficient, okay, is proportional to the Reynolds number to the power minus 0.5 for laminar flow. That means the distance to the power minus 0.5. So as the distance, it increases, or as we go along the flow direction, okay, so this friction coefficient value decreases. And apparently, this friction coefficient values have an infinite value, or it is of infinite at the leading edge when x is equal to 0. So when we integrate this expression to find out the average value, okay, so that for the laminar case, what we get CF is equals to 1.328 Reynolds number to the power half. For turbulent case, we have CF is equals to 0.074 Reynolds number to the power 1/5. Now, these coefficients you have to remember, particularly these numbers. Okay, and you shouldn't confuse this with this kind of values. That okay, I knew CFX is 0.664, but then it is here 1.382. You have to understand the difference. It is the local friction coefficient and it is the average friction coefficient over the entire surface. Fine. So now say a situation is like this, and in fact it can happen. So now here the Reynolds number definition is what? Can someone prompt me what is the Reynolds number?
It is rho u x by nu.
X by nu. So which means that if you go on increasing or along the direction x, the local Reynolds number increases. Agreed? So that means if the flat plate, say, is sufficiently long, the flow can become turbulent. The local Reynolds number can become a turbulence. Okay, but at the same time, say at the initial period, the velocity was not high enough that when it hit this leading edge, there exists a laminar boundary layer. Did you get the scenario? The scenario is I have a plate like this. When the flow comes, there is a boundary layer till a certain portion or certain length, which is say x critical, after which it becomes the turbulent. The distance in this direction is x. This can happen if the plate is sufficiently long, because this is the definition of the local Reynolds number.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so in this case, what would be the drag force? Because in these two separate cases, we have seen the laminar. If the entire boundary layer is laminar, we have certain relation. If the entire boundary layer is turbulent, we have a condition or relation that is known. But what about in this case, when there is laminar and turbulent? Both scenarios are there.
We have to consider Reynolds stresses as well.
We basically, what we do, we basically sum this up and integrate over the entire length. So what happens in that case? The situation becomes that CF is equals to 1 by L, which is the entire distance, entire length. From 0 to x critical, we integrate the CFX laminar plus x critical to the rest of the length. We have CFX, that is for the turbulent dx. Now here, one assumption is being made, and that is we are not considering any transition region. The transition region, okay, is included in the turbulent region. That immediately after laminar, there is turbulent boundary. And if we consider this Reynolds critical is 5 into 10 to the power 5, and we integrate this expression, what we achieve is that CF is something of this value that has a relation, that has a similarity with the previous expressions, particularly in the turbulent region, minus 1742 divided by Reynolds number. This is for this whole thing. The average friction coefficient over the entire plate. Now, these constant values, these are basically, it will appear based on the value you choose for this Reynolds critical or the X critical for that particular flow. Because essentially, Reynolds critical means there is X critical because fluid properties are constant. The velocity, if you consider constant. Fine. So that means there exists methodology, or in fact, there are ways in order to overcome such complex scenario. So this is the part that we dealt with the hydrodynamics. Now, the similar method, and that is why we are parallelly studying hydrodynamic boundary layer as well as the thermal boundary layer, because now the CD or CF we have now understood for this hybrid situation or complex situation. Now, what about the H, heat transfer coefficient? Heat transfer coefficient, now it is of the similar nature. So if I summarize the thing, it's basically the local Nusselt number that we have seen earlier is this thing, that Hx multiplied by again x, which is the distance from the leading edge, is equals to, we had this relation. This we had studied, or in fact, we have seen that it can be derived for Prandtl number, greater than, not less than 0.6. The corresponding, so this is for the laminar case. Corresponding turbulence value is equals to 0.0296 Reynolds number, again local Reynolds number to the power 0.8 and Prandtl number to the power 1/3. And this is the Reynolds number range, because since here we have two parameters, this is the Reynolds number range we must write. So similar to the discussion that we have done, we can see that this Nusselt number, that this Hx is proportional to Reynolds number to the power 0.5 in case of laminar flow. That means this Hx is proportional to x to the power minus 0.5, because here we have a x and this is the Reynolds number to the power 0.5. So similar to the drag coefficient, we see the relation that heat transfer, the convective heat transfer coefficient also decreases along the x direction with a power of minus 0.5. So that means Hx is basically infinite at the leading edge and decreases by this factor along the flow direction. Okay, so similar to the previous discussion or analogous to the previous discussion, Now, if we average this for the laminar, we have Nusselt number is equals to HL by K, where now L is the total length of the plate, is equals to 0.664 Reynolds number to the power 0.5 and Prandtl number to the power 1/3, or Reynolds number to the power half, Prandtl number to the power 1/3. This way you can remember this, because you have to remember this expression. So Reynolds number to the power half, Prandtl number to the power 1/3 is for the average Nusselt number for the laminar flow over a isothermal flat plate, when the Reynolds number is basically less than 10 to the power 5. In case of turbulent flow, the average Nusselt number becomes Reynolds number to the power 0.8 and Prandtl number to the power 1/3. For this same condition. Now again, similar to the previous discussion, that these are the relations when the entire the boundary condition, the flow is, say, turbulent or pure laminar. So heat transfer coefficient for the entire plate, okay, when the flow is laminar over the entire section. This one tells that when the flow is completely turbulent over the entire section. Now, when we come to this section, this scenario once again, that what would be the scenario when we have the mix of these two, the laminar and the turbulent? It is the same principle that we apply even for the heat transfer coefficient. That is, it becomes H is equals to 1 by L from 0 to x critical. We have Hx laminar dx plus x critical to the total length Hx turbulent dx. Now these expressions are substituted here to find the integration. Based on the x critical value. And if we consider the same limit, that is Reynolds critical is basically 5 into 10 to the power 5, then the integration provides us this value, that Nusselt number for this mixture condition or hybrid condition is basically 0.037 Reynolds number to the power 0.8 minus 871 Prandtl number to the power 1/3 for this same set of constraints of the range. Any question till this point?
Sir, how do we calculate Reynolds number in this last expression?
the Reynolds number range, it becomes in the turbulent. I mean, in the when we try to find out the average value, it eventually becomes turbulent after a certain length. Okay, so the assumption is that for an initial brief period, we have laminar flow, which we cannot neglect. But then the flow develops to fully turbulent value, to turbulent nature. So that this is why these constants are imposed, that this relation, we still use it here, but now there is a correction. Because in these relations, if you see that this is eventually the turbulent relation. And to calculate the Reynolds number, we use the same thing, that this is rho v L by mu. Instead of x, it is now the entire plate length, flat plate length. Then it becomes REL.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, I got it.
Any other question? Now, all these relations, once again, remember, we have considered isothermal surface, which means the temperature is constant throughout the length L. Okay. Now the scenario is that if we have some portion of the plate is heated and some portion is not. So the green portion is, say, the unheated portion, and the red portion of this flat plate is having a surface temperature, a different surface temperature. So what will happen in this case? How the boundary layer structure would look like? What will happen to the thermal boundary layer? Can someone tell me? From where it would develop?
From the heating part.
And what about the velocity boundary layer?
It would be there for all part.
Or the whole part. So say if distance is, say, xi, that after which the heating begins. Now it has been determined, okay, that in such case, the Nusselt, local Nusselt number has a form which is something like this. This is for this Nusselt number would be for xi is equals to 0. This Nusselt number numerator divided by 1 minus xi by x to the power 3/4 to the power 1/3, this whole value, which would be basically, this has been shown by someone with an analytical solution. We will not go into the details, but the point is, the reason I am writing this one, you would realize it now, that 1 minus xi by x 3/4 to the power 1/3. It's basically boils down to this numerator if xi is 0. This denominator vanishes for xi is 0. And it eventually falls back to the relation where there was isothermal scenario. Which means this acts as a correction factor to such scenarios. Okay, so the point is that similar to this, we have relation for the turbulent flow. This hybrid case, turbulent flow over the flat plate. That some portion is unheated and some portion is heated. Once we have this local Nusselt number, we integrate it for the average Nusselt number or average heat transfer coefficient. That also we can have for the turbulent and this is for the laminar case. As I said, the similar type of relation is available for the turbulent case. Okay, the reason I'm not writing these things is basically that those are not meant to memorize. But the point is that you can expect that numerator would be same as that of this case. When we talk about the average one. So in this case, this numerator is basically identical to this one, the local one, when there is isothermal case. So similarly, for the turbulent case, you expect the numerator would be this one with a correction factor similar to this part, but with a different exponent. If you identify this, then for those aptitude tests, you can actually pick the right expression for those. If you find this link or if you identify this link, you can rightly pick those options. But the point is, the bottom line is that such corrections are needed when we have such hybrid cases or mixture cases. Any question?
So, sir, we have to remember, like, for each and every case, for isothermal and for different cases, the value of these.
Yes, at least this one. Okay, these concrete values and these cases that I have summarized.
And sir, I have seen like in many books, like these constant terms differ by like margin. It
Constant.
is
Yeah. So that's why in fact when you told that 4 point something, I wrote here 5 approximately.
Yes, sir. So what we have to
in several cases this 5 is there. In some cases it is 4 point, because these are the things that have been derived and also checked. So I mean, see, you would identify it should be 0.664. It won't be 0.8 or starting with 0.7. It would be close enough to that value. It would not vary by a huge margin. That is the point. And these numbers are pretty much solid. This 0.332, 0.0296, these you'd see it's nearly identical in several cases, several books. But the number won't differ by this kind of a margin, that 0.664 and 1.328. If it happens, then you immediately look at which value they are reporting. It is the local or the average. Did you get my point?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anything else? No, ask boss.